Good day and welcome to Dr. Seed Explains YouTube channel. Okay, so before we start, don't forget to like, to share, and to hit the notification bell for more of this amazing content. Okay, so have you ever wondered how your heart is able to know when to beat? Do you think the brain is responsible for that? Okay, the answer is no, not really, no. The brain tells your heart to speed faster or slower depending on different conditions. Like, let's say you want to run now, right? So your heart has to beat faster to be able to pace the oxygen demands of the body, right? So it beats faster by virtue of the brain's activity on it, right? So basically, you can find that the center responsible for that in the brain is in the medulla. That's the medulla oblongata. That's the center of the brain responsible for that, anyways. But the brain is not responsible for initiating a heartbeat. So, how is it able to do that? That's why we're here, right? So, the heart is able to do this because if you check my other videos, the heart is more like a pump. It's a muscular pump, right? So the heart is a muscular pump that requires electrical activities to function. Okay, so does it generate its own electrical activities? Because there are a lot of nerves there, right? The wires. Okay, yes, it does. The heart is able to generate its own electrical impulses, its own electrical activities that allow for it to function on its own. Wow, you've never heard of that, right? Okay, so we are going to give you a step by step on the parts of the heart that are responsible for producing this electrical activity and making it flow through the entire heart so that blood will be pumped from the heart to the cells of the body. So let's begin. The first, this electrical activity of the heart basically is what we call the conduction system, right? So let's begin, all right? So the first part of the conduction system is what I call the conductor of the heart. Okay, if you ply the road, you will know that not really the road anyways, but if you ply the role of music, okay, if you've been in an orchestra before, you know that a lot of instruments, the violin, basically the violin, and a lot of instruments, and then in the midst of them, a lot of musicians, right? So in the midst of them, there's a conductor, a guy that is able to instruct them on what to do, right? Yes, so the heart has that. That conductor is what is called the sinoatrial node. Call it sinoatrial node. In short, it's called SA node. SA node. Right, so this is called the natural pacemaker of the heart. So it's a pacemaker. So it tells the heart when to beat, how to beat, and it's the one that generates the electrical activity, basically, right? So it's able to generate its own electrical activity. Once it does that, it spreads it through the atrium, because where is it situated? It is situated within the right atrium, right, towards the entry of the superior vena cava, right? So it's towards that entry point of the superior vena cava. That's where you get to see it. It's on the screen. You can see that, right? So it's able to generate that, and then it has its own wires, right? So I can call the SA node to be a neuromuscular tissue that generates its own electrical activities and spreads it across the atrium, right? So it can cause like 60 beats per minute. The heart to beat for like 60 beats per minute. Amazing, right? Amazing, right? So now it's going to send its electrical activities, the activities that allow the atrium to contract, that is to squeeze out blood into the ventricle, right? So the electrical activities will move from the sinoatrial node via some wires. There's internodal tract that will take it straight to another controller that I will tell you shortly, and then the Batchman fibers that will take you to the left atrium. Basically, we have right atrium and we have left atrium. So within the right atrium we have internal tract. So within the left atrium we have the Batchman fibers. So all of that is regulated by sinoatrial node. So this whole wiring will allow for the signals to tell the atrium contract now. So it does that, boom, squeezes and pumps the blood out, right? So the blood is going to be filling where the ventricles, the right and left ventricles, will be filled automatically, right? So as the blood is going down into the ventricles, the signals of contraction will be sent to the second part of the system, and I call him the traffic warden. Okay, it's the traffic warden. Okay, what's his name? The name of this part of the heart is called the AV node, atrioventricular node. Wow, what does it do? It's a traffic warden. I call it the traffic warden because once the impulses, the electrical activities get to it, instead of allowing it to pass straight and cause the ventricles to so pump blood out, it will tell the heart to wait. Wow, it can wait for about a fraction of a second, right? Then have to just wait. Why is it doing this? It's telling the wait because it's allowing the ventricles to fill to its brim, right? To fill appropriately, so that we don't have blood left in the atrium and then all of that, right? So the ventricles will fill up enough for it to now contract, right? So within the AV node, where is it located? It's situated within the septum. Yes, it's situated within the septum, basically at the area of the atrioventricular valves, right? So septum, it's what splits the heart into right and left, right? So in between, around the area of the atrioventricular valves, that's where you find the AV node. It's also in your muscular tissue. So on its own, it can allow the heart to beat on its own for about 45 beats per minute anyways. So it's also one that allows for the heart to do what it does, right? So now let's move on. What happens next? So from the AV node, there are a bunch of wires. I call them more like the expressway, right? There are a bunch of wires that allow for the signals from the AV nodes to go straight into the ventricle, right? The expressway is what we call the bundle of His. So why is it called the bundle of His? It is called the bundle of His because it's named after the one that discovered that. So the name of the scientist that discovered this is Wilhelm His Jr. Okay, so that's the scientist that discovered it anyway. So that's why it's named after him. So it's the bundle of His, right? So there are two expressways, right? There are two lanes that pass from the bundle of His, right? So the first branch is called the right bundle branch. The right bundle branch is the one that goes to the right ventricle, right? So the left bundle branch goes to the left ventricle. As simple as that. So the left ventricle, yes, there's anterior and posterior, but we don't need all of that for now. Just understand the basics, right? So yes, those are the two lanes that split from our expressway, the bundle of His. So the fibers, right? So now, when you move straight to the right and the left bundle branches, you discover that they also lead into several little roads, right? These fibers that make sure that the entire muscles of the ventricle are saturated, right? Like by saturated, I mean the spread around the entire ventricle, right? Okay, so those tiny fibers, right, that originate from the bundle branches are called Purkinje fibers. They are called what? Purkinje fibers. So of course, we started with electrical activities generated from the sinoatrial node, right? So they allow the atrium to contract, that is squeeze and blood into the ventricle, right? So when the signals get to the AV node, they get delayed, like a traffic warden, stop for a fraction of a second. Then it allows the impulses or the electric signals to come in and flow, covering the entire or spreading the entire heart, right? So when they flow through the Purkinje fibers, finally to cause the heart to contract at once. Which part of the heart to contract? The ventricles. So the right and the left ventricles will contract at once. That is to squeeze out blood. So where will the blood head to? Of course, if it's the right ventricle, then you take it to the lungs, right? Then if it is the left ventricle, then you take it to cells of the body. So basically, that's the entire thing. That's the entirety about the conduction system of the heart. It's very simple and straightforward. So I think that's a good recap. Just just so that you know, everything was generated by the SA node. Then the AV node waited and conducted the signals and transferred it straight through the bundle of his to the bundle branches and then to the Purkinje fibers. So all of that allowed your heart to beat. So for every time your heart beats, these are the things that are going on. It's actually amazing. And then the whole cycle takes about 0.8 of a second. 0.8 of a second. That's amazing. So your heart does it every time. So yes, doctors, cardiologists, physiologists, anatomists that are within the clinical setting, of course, they use what we call an ECG to check this electrical activity. What's an ECG? An electrocardiogram. Right, that's the machine that's used to check this entire electrical activity. So if you see that, you see a bunch of waves passing, those are very simple anyways. They're just showing the electrical activity, right? They show you which is the atrial depolarization or atrial contraction. All of this you will learn within the next video. But I hope you got amazing knowledge from this. Hook on to this channel, and I tell you for a fact you will learn a whole lot, and well, it will be very much simpler. I tell you, it will be very much simpler. So like I said, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, because only then will you be able to see when I bring new content, which I will always do for your sake. Thank you.